What is the relationship between lines and curves? Hello, everyone. I'm Thomas, and welcome to my channel. I do educational materials, videos, books, articles, and courses. I do a lot of stuff on Tree of Life here. This is the diagram. You can see that it has 10 different circles or spheres, numbered 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then there is a thing here called the abyss. And then there's a thing above the tree called the zero. So that is a total of 12 different categories. These are historically thought of as our 12 faculties of consciousness. Here we have the animal consciousness or instinct, survival. And then we have our domestic consciousness, our receptivity and imitation that we get growing up in the home. Then we have the consensus worldview, belief systems, and logic that we get from paying attention to the experts or the conventional wisdom out in the real world. And then when this is the real world, we have this as the imaginary world. And this is for people who are disgruntled with what's going on in the real world and propose solutions in terms of inventions and artistic endeavors to improve what's here in the conventional wisdom. And this also is inspiration, which provides an arc to lead us up into the higher spheres. 6 here is at the center of the tree. This is really the you are here part of the map. And this is our free will faculty, our ability to pay attention and to make decisions. And one of the first is to stop paying attention to what's down here as much as we're paying attention to what's up here in the higher aspects of the tree. So we try to move, rotate 180 degrees so that we're facing upward on the tree. And we can then tune into number 5 here, which is our sense of justice. Can be summed up in the law of karma. What you sow, so shall you reap. And for every reaction, there's an equal and for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And what comes around goes around. And boomerang and things like that. And then the 4th sphere is co-equal with the 5th sphere, where the 5th sphere is about the enforcement of the law, of the natural law. The 4th sphere is about the articulation of the natural law. And also refers to other universal qualities such as universal love, our ability to love our enemies and to give seeking nothing in return, and also universal language. These are telepathy and other forms of language that can be tapped into without having any prior knowledge. And then we have our psychic powers here at the abyss. This is our ability to tune into and recognize omens, coincidences, synchronicities, and so on. The 3rd, 2nd, and 1st spheres are all our divine faculties within. This is our omnipotence, all-powerful, tapped into through sound synchronization. And then we have our wisdom faculty, or omniscience. Omniscience, all-knowing, or wisdom, our ability to solve problems, usually tapped into through either deep silence of the mind or else an oracle or a divination process. That's really like the surrogate in case we're not able to really tap into that silence in our minds. Then we need to rely upon an external factor such as divination. Then the 1st sphere has to do with omnipresence, all present, all at once, simultaneously, and eternally. And as in everything is in now. And then the 0 above the tree gives us our mystery, the mystery of the world and the nothingness. So that is the short version of how that tree works. Now, what I've done is I've amplified it really just for pedagogical purposes. You say that, historically they say that you can apply the tree of life to anything. So what I've really done is I've applied the tree of life to each sphere. So I've put a miniature tree onto each one of these spheres and broken each sphere down into its 12 component parts, hopefully to help with people learning each one of the spheres. The key to learning the tree is, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but it's primarily through memorization, especially memorizing the configuration of the diagram and then just a little bit more about how each sphere works. So, and then you just really need to work with it like repetitively and get it to sink in. It's not an easy learning curve, but it's easier than like your high school chemistry class or something like that. It's just takes a little bit of application and a little bit of memorization just to get it in your head. Once it's in your head, eventually it becomes old hat to you and it gets into your rote memory, and then it downloads into your body, and then from there you pretty much you own it. And then you can work with it and manipulate it to suit your own experience then. Okay, now what if you would like a copy for free of my list of 144 fractal faculties. So that is the fractalized version, 12 here, 12 here, 12 here, and so on, for a total of 144. These are the fractal faculties, or stages of life, not chronological stages, but dramatic stages. And I'll send that out to you if you click the link in the description for free. Okay, now today's question: what is the relationship between lines and curves? This actually fits in way up at the top of the tree here. This is the 0 fractal. This is number 132, the 0 fractal of the first sphere. So it's a combination of the first sphere, which is, omniscience, all present everywhere, and the 0 sphere, which is like the mystery, and it really is the part of the universe that the creator reserves for itself. So you could think of this as kind of like the creator's private life. What goes on in with the creator that we don't have any access to. We talked about earlier how the scholastic quadrivium fits in here at the top of the tree, where 3 corresponds to music and sacred music, 2 corresponds to astronomy and astrology, 1 corresponds to geometry and sacred geometry, and 0 corresponds to mathematics, or at least arithmetic, and numerology. So we're talking about the first sphere. So we're really on the realm of geometry, and then a fractal of the 0 sphere. So a fractal of mathematics and numerology. What is the relationship between lines and curves? Number 132, invisible duality. Stage number 132 is about the first and 0th ethers, the isotropic vector matrix, and the closest packing of spheres. Also, you could think of it in terms of the progression of the natural reference system and the rotational base. Those are both concepts from the reciprocal system of Dewey B. Larson. Duality of non-existence, straight line and circle, neither really exists. 1 and 0. In multi-dimensions, they are two ethers. The IVM, the isotropic vector matrix, and the CPS, the closest packing of spheres. Non-visibility, imperceptibility. Two ethers. The 0th ether is the closest packing of spheres, a gaggle of identical spheres packed together under pressure conditions that are identical in all directions. And the isotropic vector matrix is the first ether obtained by connecting the centers of all the spheres. Here we can see how the closest packing of spheres originates and underlies the straight lines of the isotropic vector matrix. Curved and straight, IVM, CPS. Self becomes aware it is an immaterial, non-physical reality that cannot be perceived, but figuratively, by two invisible ethers. Underlying everything in the universe, two ethers. Self is the first ether, 1. Unconditioned is the 0th ether, 0. Both imperceptible. The emotional state of inner peace that comes from the total unification of the individual as an invisible duality that is infinite potential. First and 0th ether. Invisible duality, two reciprocal halves of one universe in time and space. Okay. Now that obviously is pretty abstract and difficult, and what I'll just say now is that a lot of this comes from the reciprocal system of theory. A lot of it also comes from synergetic geometry, which is the system of Buckminster Fuller, and the closest packing of spheres and the isotropic vector matrix. You may want to refer to Fuller's work to get a picture of that, but I think it might work better if you just try to picture it yourself. You picture a gaggle of spheres packed together as close as possible, identical spheres, and then you connect all the centers of those spheres to get the isotropic vector matrix. And that is those are the two layers of the ether that underlies everything. So we will be talking extensively both about the synergetic geometry and about the reciprocal system of theory and the reciprocal system 2 as we proceed. Mainly right now, we just need to flesh out this tree of life and the 144 fractal faculties, and then we can dive in further with the specifics of the geometry and the numerology involved. So anyway, this is number 132, invisible duality. First sphere, the 0 fractal within the first sphere. All right, please hit like, share, and subscribe. You can also click the link in the description to get a free copy of my list of 144 fractal faculties or stages of life, annotated. And otherwise, stay tuned for future videos, and have a beautiful day.